The picture on the front of this is an airsoft RPG-7 internals for the trigger grouping. It's not even a real RPG-7. Alright, so Ukraine. Sorry about my voice getting lost a little bit. Alright, so the Ukraine, right? What did they need from us? They needed guns. What did they have there? Tighter gun control than we got. What's the first thing they did when Russia invaded? Start handing out guns to their civilians who weren't allowed to have them. Then we got Israel with one of the tightest gun control. Well, it's pretty decent. Not anymore, though. They flushed it down the fucking toilet. That's right. From here on in, they're going to require more people to be at each kibbutz. Armed. So the thing on the front of here, is that American? No. The airsoft thing itself is American, but the RPG-7 is not, it's Russian. Ukraine used to produce these in large numbers, and Hamas is producing these to this day. You ever hear of the arsenal of democracy? Yeah, American weapons rescuing democracy the world over, right? That was the idea. I need to blow my fucking nose. So we got more strict gun control now. And of course, we get to see that this is, in fact and indeed, here in America, a humanitarian crisis. We spend more money, 10 times more money every year than it takes to help us be unhomeless. We could literally, with the amount of money that we use to force people into homelessness, and still we pay all this money to all these services that are supposed to help us, right? We're all still out here. And all of these services and the people in them, well, they're pretty well trained. Better trained than you believe. These mandated reporters aren't just trained to be mandated reporters. They're also trained in how to irk their duties. And there is nobody more likely to be the victim of this than a disabled homeless man. Sorry about this. We are the least likely to be armed and the most likely to be targeted. And worse, the American people don't think of us as people. You give us token help. How many of you who fought so hard to pass laws to protect the homeless or to protect the disabled, after those laws were passed, how many of you took part in the oversight? And how many of you pretended because the law was passed that it meant that it was being followed? I'm rich enough to go buy a banana at Safeway. I'm going to drive over to Safeway and I'm going to buy a banana. I do not have enough money to buy myself coffee in the morning. What the hell? I just dropped something off my car. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, we're good to go. Anyway, I'd also like a cigarette that would sure as well. Since it's nighttime, I'm gonna park my car closer to the front, I guess. No, not really. Maybe they're all pretty fucking full. Well, I'll figure it out. Easiest way the cameras will see it. If anybody fucks with my stuff. So, as much as I believe in the Second Amendment, I think it sucks that more people don't have access to them who are disabled or homeless. We're top of the list for being abused because we're the least likely to be heard. All the stuff that you hear, all this anti-Semitic stuff, people say the same stuff about the homeless. All this anti-black stuff, people say the same stuff about the homeless. A man came to me today and thought he was going to tell me a racist joke and that I was just going to listen. Nope, I didn't. I talked right over him. He said to me, Well, I don't feel appropriate saying even that part, so we'll leave it at that. I did have a hell of a witty reply, a hell of a twist on a bad joke. But it's still a bad joke. Majority of the stuff shot by Hamas was actually made not by Iran, but actually within the Gaza Strip. Also, it's made out of very simple materials. I'm not sure if I told you, but I do literally have this stuff in my car that if I wanted to, I could make a lot of different things with just a very simple tooling setup. I also have drills that I can utilize that are run by hand. I've got saws that are run by hand. I've got micro measurement tools that could allow me to measure tolerances. I've got files and block files. It'd take me for fucking ever if I wanted to do that. Well, it depends on what I wanted to make. The problem is I don't want to make none of that stuff. It's stupid. Why would anybody want to go run around making weapons? Here in the United States, shit, between a homemade homemade RPG-2. By the way, Hamas is actually a lot more advanced than Vietnam was because it took Vietnam quite a while to start making the RPG-7 knockoffs. Hamas, compared to what they had 20 years ago, they've made massive steps. They do have a version of the RPG-7. Their metallurgy is still complete shit. That much is true. But they're starting to make some of that stuff a little bit thicker, doubled up, things of that nature. There's a guy who made a RPG-7, and I'll show you the main component that he used. He used one of these. Kind of weird looking, isn't it? There's also one that's made out of lengths of pipe and pipe nipples. There's also the fact that those things are real scary. When they go wrong, they go really wrong. There's a couple of places that actually have a shitty steel pipe in the center, and then they reinforce it by having a aluminum sleeve around the outside. And I guess it kind of does the job. Some of them, it's what's called banded. To take some steel bands, like the type that you screw down. There's different types, like a hose clamp is one of those types. I've seen a lot of this homemade stuff, but also there's article after article, and on the internet there's picture after picture of people who made that stuff and it didn't go right. Yeah.
Welcome. Weigh your item.
It's a
Please
banana.
touch accept weight to continue. Move your item to the bag. 24 cents. If you have your club card, please scan it now.
No, but I do anyway.
I wasn't sure, you know.
Nah, I always thought it was rude not to talk back to the machine, especially the ones at Walmart, because they're extra rude. Although
You never
the
know what this machine's like.
true that.
I think they have my
If you are finished scanning, how many store-provided bags did
Done.
you? Your total is 24. Please insert coin, then insert bill. Please wait. System processing.
Sorry about that.
Please remember to take your receipt and all of your change. Thank you.
night.
Good night. Open sesame. I will never grow up. I like her. Here's a winner. Nice. Here's another. All right, so for people, for them, an IED is probably a way to go here in America because some poor people can actually afford some of the things for that. Problem is, an IED is indiscriminate. It doesn't know the difference between a police car and a fucking school bus. Speaking of, there's a goddamn school bus. Scappoose SD First Student. Scappoose, South Dakota? I don't know. I'm betting that bus is full of primarily Native Americans. Likely First Nations. I'm from an area just south of there, Chapel, Nebraska. That's Pawnee territory, though. One of the places I spoke up about was Hardin, Montana. That's a bad area, though. It's the epicenter for missing and murdered Native Americans in this country. Right on the crossroads, right on the border with Wyoming and South Dakota, all the way down to Nebraska. Real bad area, lots of missing people. Strange to see a bus up here. I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm not aware of Scappoose. Well, the windows are filthy, but I don't see anybody on that bus. Oh. Anyway, here in America, we got a lot of options. If you don't have access to a firearm, there's all sorts of firearms you can make. But we're in America. If it gets to the point where you need a fucking gun, chances are pretty good somebody will hand you one. But I've been telling you about people here in Tillamook, in Chapel, in Lodgepole, in Hood River. No matter where I go, people have offered me guns, told me I need to get guns, I need to protect myself with a gun. Do you understand what the consequences are for having a gun out on the streets? Potentially your own life. Thing is, we can't put Pandora back in the box. If you're attacked by people with guns and you're going to defend yourself with knives, you're pretty well fucked. Let's say you upgrade to a sword, yeah, you're still pretty well fucked. Matter of fact, in CQB, you'd probably be better off with a knife than a sword. That's close quarters battle. It's like inside of tunnels, inside of caves, inside a hallway in your apartment building, or possibly even a crawl space. CQB is when you are up close and fucking personal. And CQB could potentially include unarmed hand-to-hand combat. In some situations, like some strongholds of the past, they had a few little, well, it's never a straight shot, is it? It's never a straight shot to even get to the front gate, let alone past the front gate. They do that in modern times too, because it's really effective against idiot riflemen who are hell-bent on holding their gun. There's a lot of places where they basically make murder holes that you've got someone low down, and by the time the soldiers get up to the wall that they're approaching, somebody's already squatted down looking through the hole in the bottom, but on the top is solid brick. RPGs are pretty much shit underground. If you fire an RPG underground in one of those tunnels, even if it's one of the ones like the Matador, the Matador system, or even the Prig, what are you looking at? You're looking at the fact that you're still having to do and deal with the front end blast. The way that the Matador and the Prig are able to disperse as well as the armbrust. Two of them use a bunch of little tiny plastic beads all slightly flattened and pressed together. And in the Prig, they use 2 bags of crushed cookies. Those go out the back, so you can fire them from inside of a house or inside of a building, inside of an actual structure. Whereas you fire an RPG-7, you might blow yourself out the window. You also might kill yourself with a concussion, or a concussive force, or concussive blast. Not sure if you knew this, but a sound wave can burst your internal organs. That's what a blast wave is. It's a variant of a sound wave, but it moves so much mass. It doesn't just shake it like a radio wave. It's compelled to push it away. The way that the Matador, the Prig, and the armbrust work is that they blow basically the plastic or the breadcrumbs out the back. It helps to reduce the backblast and push the force into the breadcrumbs, or sorry, the cookie crumbs or the plastic. And as soon as they start hitting the air behind it, they start to create drag, and it starts to slow everything down, and basically you're able to make it so you don't kill yourself with concussive force. But you're always firing out of an opening. You're never firing from inside of a building to an objective inside of the building. You're gonna kill yourself in the process. One guy was talking about having to deal with Hamas in the tunnels and their RPGs, and they make their own RPGs. I'm like, yeah, but those guys aren't going to want to fire those things down there. And a lot of folks say, hey, why don't you just fire some RPGs in there yourselves? Well, because first of all, they might not go very far. They might just close down part of the entrance, and Hamas would just dig around it. The way they're likely to do it, they're likely to cover up as many exits as they can and just start pumping these things full of gas. And they don't even have to find the exit, just so you know. They have to start filling it. All they have to do is start filling it with a heavier than air combustive gas. Anything in there will be dead. If there's rats in there, they'll be dead. If there's people in there, they'll be dead. That's a lot of what we're dealing with today as far as the Israelis in Gaza, as well as the war in Afghanistan. Some of those caves have what's called galleries. These are large rooms attached to the tunneling system where you've got infrastructure. You got generators, you got your production facilities. And this is not a new concept. I mean, you can go back to Alexander's day and see literally tunneling in that very area. The same exact area. Now, are the tunnels that they're using the same ones that were there in Alexander's day? No, they weren't. Some of them probably crossed those old tunnels. You never know. They might have even run into a collapsed mine with a few Roman soldiers. Sorry, not Roman. A few Greek soldiers in there for all we know. But you put all that heavier than air gas in there, it's going to mix with the oxygen and the ventilation that's in there, if there's ventilation. And as soon as they ignite it, they can find any and all entrances real quick. Because it's underground, we've gotten to see what weapons caches underground do. Here in the United States, we started testing our nuclear weapons underground. We found an area of desert that is copper rich and also rich in some other metals that are supposed to lessen the dispersal of nuclear radiation. And we measure our bombs according to how big the crater is now. Not a blast crater like we had before, but a sinkhole crater. It basically just loosens up all the dirt around it, pushes it up, and then it resettles. It's actually real weird looking because parts of it, they automatically turn into glass. So it basically melts a whole crap ton of the Earth's crust around it, and that actually makes it a bit more dense. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes into that, but I don't understand all of it. I just brushed up and read a little bit on it. Your lights are off! Your lights are off! Your lights are off! Alright, that lady is, oh, someone called himself Jacob Pruitt. Good night. Good night. There's a lady that just drove through here with her lights off. I yelled at her a few times. I hope she understood the English language. I guess I didn't say it loud enough. Alright, so let's make sure that we charge up my phone a bit. Any of y'all who are bored with my channel, I don't give a shit. I don't record stuff for your entertainment. I record it so it's fucking documented in case somebody wants to do the right thing instead of forcing me to act like a fucking jackass to get heard. That shit sucks. Anyway, I'm overwhelmed. I know that a lot of nights, as soon as I turn off the recording, that's when people come up and fuck with me. Oh. Oh. So I'm gonna roll me a cigarette. As far as Palestine goes, Palestine can have peace pretty easy. But Hamas isn't gonna let that happen. Some of the Israeli intelligence coming out says that none of the weapons they found at any of the kibbutzes was actually Iranian. It's primarily homemade. Which means the quality is probably not that great. They've been using, obviously, construction-grade materials, which don't withstand explosions all that well. The United States is passing a bunch of laws that can kind of sort of work here because we're slightly segregated from Europe, the Middle East. Asia. Not sure if y'all noticed though, China's become a world powerhouse based on American steel. In the early 2000s, we had a shit ton of American steel that the Chinese bought up for super cheap. Well, it was pretty expensive there for a while because they wanted so much of it. But they got a lot of American steel. I worked for a few people junking steel for a while there. It wasn't just steel though, they bought up steel, copper, iron. They bought up nickel, they bought up tin. They made a lot of stuff with it, tried their best to copy United States stuff. They also made some of their own variants, just like Turkey did. Military helicopters built by Turkey.
According to Air and Cosmos International, Turkish Aerospace presents a new heavy helicopter powered by a Ukrainian engine manufacturer. At Le Bourget 2023, Turkish Aerospace Industries presented its new T-925 heavy multi-role helicopter. This new project will accompany the 10-ton class multi-role attack helicopter known as the ATAK-2.
All right. American helicopter made by Turkey. Nope, that's Augusta Westland, so that would be contracted with Germany. So that's not it. Turkish T-929 helicopter. Let's see this one. Yeah. It kind of looks like the Cobra, sort of, but not really at all. It looks more like a copy of the new West German helicopters, which is pretty cool. Although it's not what we're looking for. Let's look for another helicopter. Tufan 2 helicopter. That's not. The IAIO Tufan, or Tufan, two different spellings, is a series of combat helicopters by the Iran Aviation Industries Organization, based on the US-built AH-1J Sea Cobra. The Tufan has two variants. The Tufan 1 unveiled in May 2010 and the improved Tufan 2 unveiled in January 2013. Yeah, we made a deal with Turkey. We sent everything that they needed to make the AH-1J, and then America, in its infinite wisdom, after everything was moved over there, right after it was all over there, Is that alright? We're cutting ties with Iran? That wasn't too bright. Hold on a second. What's the name of that Russian helicopter? I'm trying to remember it. The Turkish, Iranians, and there's one other country that all run variants of foreign helicopters in the Middle East. And just so you know, I think the Alouette is an okay helicopter, but I still think the Bell 47's better. God, what's the name of it? GTD 350 engine use. The GTD 350 is a turbine engine powering a light helicopter and one of the most popular engines in its class. The GTD 350 is a slightly heavier, slightly less powerful version of the Rolls-Royce 250, which is the production licensed version of the Allison 250 engine, built by it was built in the United States. It's the Klimov GTD 350. It's initially the Isotov GTD 350. Trying to figure out what helicopter it goes to. Let's check it out. It's Soviet. Turbo shaft. This is what I was getting into before I hurt my back just a little bit. Learning about jet engines a little bit. Didn't really want to make one. Male MI2. NATO reporting name Hoplite. Is a small three-rotor blade Soviet-designed multi-purpose helicopter developed by the Mil Moscow helicopter plant, designed in the early 1960s and produced exclusively by WSK in Poland. That wouldn't be it. All right. They use them a lot as helicopters. All right. So the Kamov KA-26, and there's a variant of the Kamov KA-26 that is powered by two turbojet engines, or all right, what's the name of it? It's a turbojet type, but I don't remember what it is. It was, let's see, produced from 1968 to 1920, 1968 to 1985. Specifications: the 325 horsepower, 239 kilowatt VMK M14V26 radial engine. They're pretty cool engines, but it was developed into the there's a military variant, KA-226, I think what it is. KMOV KA-226, NATO reporting name Hoodlum, is a small twin-engine Russian utility helicopter. The KA-226 features an interchangeable mission pod rather than a conventional cabin, allowing use of various accommodations or equipment configurations. The KA-226 entered service in 2002. Role light utility, number built 269, developed from KMOV 126. Primary users: Russian Aerospace Forces, Syrian Arab Air Force. Variants: Turbo Mecha. Oh damn, Turbo Mecha has nice engines. KE-226TG, Gazprom specific variant based on 226T model. Is that the one that's produced by, let me see. Anyway, one of these is actually produced by a different company, and I'm trying to find it because it's actually licensed to be built by another country. This one's manufacturer Industria Aeronautica Romana. Well, it might be an international company and have a plant somewhere else. I don't know. The folks who parked in front of me left their lights on. Awful kind of them. So I'm gonna back up. They might have just, I don't know, not paid attention to what they were doing. Anyway, we got the whole world all up in arms. The United States government is telling its people they can't have guns. Same as the situation in Israel. The same as the situation in, well, a lot of nations, like Ukraine, for example. Ukraine had to try to rapidly modernize, and they needed a lot of help. We had to pay for that. Such is the cost of freedom, right? Isn't that what we tell ourselves? We're paying for a huge navy, and we're basically just running around the whole world just bullying everybody who's not us. I need a shower, by the way. It's been at least 4 months since I had one. One of the things that bugs me is, basically I can't play any music because there might be a copyright violation and I'll get in trouble for recording a fucked up situation. By get in trouble, I mean like they take down important evidence because it's got a Disney song in it or something, you know? It's fucked up. See, here's the thing, is these guys refuse to do their jobs nationwide, and without a friend or family member who cares, I'm stuck with a bunch of people whose idea of helping me is to talk about getting violent and tell me they might be able to do something next week. Maybe. What the hell's going on? Oh, just people having a loud conversation, I guess. Anyway, them youngins usually come out around 10 to fuck around. It's 9:30. I don't really want to shut off my recording because I gotta worry that as soon as I turn it off, people will start fucking with me. And nobody tries to understand how crippling this is. They pretend like a person just gets over being harassed for years and years and years and being bullied by the police. Not one person giving a shit to actually speak up. Anyway, I gotta waste some more gas to try to keep my phone charged. See, not one person has stopped to actually listen to understand. That's one thing about when you're disabled and you start trying to tell people that you're disabled and they want to talk over you and treat you like shit because they're not stopping to listen to understand. They're going to make the same suggestions over and over again. And the problem is that this is the whole goddamn country. All of you take advantage of us and tell us that it's our fucking fault. How long is it going to take for people to actually take it seriously? Like, if I send you the information, are you actually going to help turn it in? Or are you going to talk about it and procrastinate for 6 months or 6 years? And I explain to you, yeah, I pretty well, yeah, I have to turn it in right the fuck away. And if you don't make the fucking calls with me, I will be fucking victimized. If you're going to tell me that you care, then show you care by making the call with me. Show that you care by listening to me. Show that you care by not procrastinating for fucking 8 goddamn months like a fucking junkie. How about understand that instead of telling me, hey, don't trust the junkies, understand that you're not doing jack shit to help. Ever. All you ever do is dispense advice. You're worse than a fucking crackhead. God bless America. Now the problem is with none of these people taking it serious enough to actually take the time. Like I talk to people kind of sort on their breaks, and people kind of sort of say, oh, I'm your friend. Well, kind of sort of. If we were friends, you would understand that I need someone to fucking get off their ass and actually act like a friend. When your friend comes to you and says that they're being fucking abused, if you blow your friend off and leave it open-ended and say, maybe someday, here's a sandwich. Here's a sandwich. That'll fix everything. Here's a sandwich. They don't understand that you don't have unlimited fucking funds. They don't understand that you have to live on fucking nothing. And they're not going to let you explain that. They're going to treat you like you're a retard for trying to tell them something that they should fucking be able to grasp. But no, when you've got overhead that is about $3,000 per month, but you've got two people working together to have that roof over your head, and of course, having that other person there also reduces your chances of being victimized by anyone else, just because that person is there. When people want to victimize you, they don't want to have to fight off two people at once. They want to get you when you're alone, and guess who's always alone? Because nobody fucking cares. Do you actually care? Can you take the time today, after you get off work, to actually spend an hour to listen to me? Not to talk. Not to tell me what to do. Not to ask me 10 million questions. But to hear my fucking story. My story. Not just the parts that you want to know. Well, I can't help you unless I know this. No, you can't help me unless you are willing to listen to begin with, before you do anything else. And promise me a sandwich and maybe next week. Why don't you actually do something good in your life? And put a bullet through my head, because you're not gonna next week or the week after that. You don't care how much abuse I have to take every goddamn day until one of you fucking useless goddamn pieces of shit decides that you actually think of me as an actual human being. Now, when you tell me just to go to the cops, you show me what a pampered fucking life you live. Might as well be saying, let them eat cake. By the time you get off your ass enough to fucking give a shit, all of that is buried. All of that fucking evidence is buried. And I have to go digging through thousands of videos because I have to record all the time. The one thing that is pretty much universal in the United States is that nobody gives a fuck. Their idea of helping you is to buy things. Hey, instead of spending a bunch of money on shit that I can do without, how about finding out my story from me? Actually spend time with the intention of fucking listening. And that's not going to work as long as I am in the United States having to talk to women. Every woman has it in her head that women have it worse than men. No, the fuck you don't. No, the fuck you don't. You work less, you spend more money, you get more benefits. Well, there are no government benefits for men. And then we have to rely on primarily females in these jobs. And women are not cut out for service jobs. Here is why women are not cut out for service jobs. And we're going to start off by the reinforcement of why I say these things. Who are the most productive serial killers in history? They're all women, and they're all nurses. Female nurses have killed more people than all other serial killers combined. Men primarily work doing what? Everything important. Everything that takes care of your food, water, and shelter. Men are your primary agricultural workers. They're your primary construction workers. But, of course, girls don't want to do manual labor. It's not that they can't. I've seen some tiny women outwork men. But most women will go to a construction site and just lazy out. And then, of course, she'll use that for bragging rights. You worked one day at a construction site and then quit. But you're going to tell everybody that you were a construction worker for years. Or, of course, if you don't want to lie and say for years, you just say you used to do construction. But you didn't. You quit after a day. You don't know shit. When it comes to males being abused, the primary reason is because we have to go to women who have no clue what we have to go through every day because they don't work with us. When it comes to men working together, no, we're taught from day one that we're supposed to serve women. We're supposed to protect women. That is our job. Protect women, protect children. Someone calling themselves Daddy Roosevelt typed, "Vote for me in the 1901 election." How about take this shit seriously, asswipe? I know most of you fuckheads just get on to goddamn YouTube for entertainment, but this channel's for protecting the victims. Victims of rape, victims of child abuse of every sort, victims of systemic abuse. Right now, who has the most guns in the United States out of civilians? That would be primarily white guys. Primarily white guys. And most of them are not poor. Most of them, if they are poor, it's because they've got an addiction similar to, well, what I describe with Nebraskans and their alcohol addiction. You spend $1,500 a month at the bar on booze, and then you complain to a bunch of other white people doing the same thing about how blacks and Mexicans are the reason that you're always broke. That's insanity. Now I'm certain that Hamas was having a lot of the same issues that they're still having in Myanmar, Burma, the issues they had in Vietnam. Now the Vietnamese, turns out they actually make a lot of that stuff still to this day, and that it's better production. Now the RPG-2 that the Viet Cong used was homemade, but also the NVA also had a variant. I've been told that the stuff that I've been looking at, there's different variants, the B-40 and the B-50. The B40, some of this stuff says B40 was 40 millimeter and the B50 actually had a 50 millimeter tube. Some people said that the B40 is the RPG-2 variant and the B50 is the RPG-7 variant. I also saw multiple pictures of the B40 as an RPG-7. I'm like, but it's not an RPG-7, it's an RPG-2, isn't it? So Wikipedia and these historical sites, none of them agree with each other on that. But if you were to get something in Vietnam that was even built decent, you still weren't going to live very long. Everybody I talk to blows me off like what I'm going through is no big thing. And you have no idea how much it makes me want to blow my fucking head off every time somebody procrastinates till tomorrow. I keep hoping if I show them the evidence, maybe they'll understand. If a woman was going through this is not how any of you would fucking react. It's not how the cops would react. What I need from people is for them to make sure that the cops actually do their fucking jobs. That the DA actually does their job. That it's not their word versus mine. That you're there to hear what they say. I have a lot of problems that have stacked up that I need you to understand they exist, not fix every one of them. I need you to shut up and stop giving advice. Just shut the fuck up and listen to the goddamn victim. And not one of you with a fucking vagina is capable. And you know what? Not one of you with a penis is capable. Do you know who is capable? Apparently all of us, when it's a woman. As soon as a woman starts making false accusations against a man, you owe it to that man to give him the option of state-assisted suicide. Victimizing an innocent man like this over and over and over again and make him try to make friends with a bunch of fucking junkies and a bunch of people who have jobs that aren't gonna take any of their personal time to help. Not to fucking listen to you for sure. They might buy things for you. They might buy you a fucking sandwich. They might buy you a shirt. They might buy you a watch. Hell, they might even buy you a haircut. But none of that money helps their voice to get fucking heard. You have to actually care about the fucking victim. When somebody wants their life to end, do you find out why? Or do you victimize the fuck out of them? If you send them to 988, you're letting them know loud and proud you want them to kill themselves. If you send them to 211 or 911, you are telling them you want them to kill themselves. When your friend comes to you and tells you they're being bullied to the point they want their life to end, they need help stopping the bullies. You calling the cops on them is going to guarantee 100% that the only way they have out now is suicide.